I am come from Australia. Is this okay? Let's find out. When you meet someone new, you might want to ask them their name, where they're from, what language they speak. So today we look at how to ask and how to answer those questions. The first phrase for today is, what's your name? What's your name? This is the most basic way to ask someone's name. When a native speaker says this really quickly, it sounds like this. What's your name? What's your name? We don't say what's your, we say what's ya. What's your name? Now you try. What's your name? And the most common answer to this question is my name's. My name's. And then you say your name. For me, my name's Shane. My name's Shane. You can also say I'm. For me, I would say I'm Shane. I'm Shane. What if we're talking about somebody else? This man. We want to know his name. So what's the question? We could say, what's his name? What's his name? And the answer is, his name is John. His name is Fred. What about a woman? This woman here. How can we ask about her name? We can say, what's her name? What's her name? And the answer is, her name is Mary, Jane. What if I ask you, what's my name? What's my name? What can you say to me? You can say, your name is. So for me, you can say, your name is Shane. Your name is Shane. So just remember, what's your name? My name is. What's his name? His name is. What's her name? Her name is. And what's my name? Your name is. And the second phrase for today is, where are you from? Where are you from? When a native speaker says this really quickly, it sounds like this. Where are you from? Where are you from? We don't say you, we say ya. And the where and the are come together. Where are you from? Where are you from? Now you try. Where are you from? And the most common answer for this question is, I'm from. For me, I'm from Australia. I'm from Australia. What about if you want to ask about this man again? What's the question about his country? You can say, where is he from? Where is he from? And the answer is, he is from Australia, Brazil, China. And what about the woman? We want to ask about her country. What's the question? We can say, where is she from? Where is she from? And the answer, she is from Brazil, China, Thailand. And what if I ask you where I am from? You can say, you are from Australia. So just remember, where are you from? I'm from. Where is he from? He's from. Where is she from? She's from. And where am I from? You're from. And I also just want to say, if somebody ever asks you, where are you from? You can answer, I come from Australia. But this isn't very common. The most common answer is, I'm from Australia. And the next phrase is, do you speak English? Do you speak English? This is the most common way to ask someone if they speak English. And when a native speaker says this really quickly, it sounds like this. Do you speak English? Do you speak English? We don't say do you, we say do. Do you speak English? Do you speak English? Now you try. Do you speak English? And if you want to answer the question, you can say, yes, I do, or no, I don't. But all of you watching my videos, I know that you can speak English, so you can say, yes, I do. And if you want to say you speak English a little bit, you can say, yes, a little bit. Yes, a little bit. Now, this man, we want to ask about him and English. What's the question? Does he speak English? Does he speak English? And the answer is, yes, he does, or no, he doesn't. Yes, he does, or no, he doesn't. And what about the woman? Does she speak English? Does she speak English? The answer is, yes, she does, or no, she doesn't. Yes, she does, or no, she doesn't. And what about if I ask you, do I speak English? You can answer, yes, you do, or if you think so, no, you don't. No, you don't. So just remember, do you speak English? Yes, I do. No, I don't. Does he speak English? Yes, he does. No, he doesn't. And does she speak English? Yes, she does, or no, she doesn't. Okay, we have learned 3 basic phrases for today, but let's just quickly test your understanding with a quiz. I will show you a sentence with a missing word, and I want you to tell me what is the correct word. Let's have a look at the first one. Where is from for a man? Where is from for a man? The correct answer is, where is he from? Where is he from? Question 2. I'm Australia. I'm Australia. The correct answer is, I'm from Australia. I'm from Australia. We don't say, I'm come from Australia. No, 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 no. Question 3. Your name. Your name. The answer is, what's your name? What's your name? You can say, what is your name? But native speakers like to make words shorter, so we say, what's your name? Number 4. What's name for a woman? What's name for a woman? What's her name? What's her name? Okay, and the last question, question number 5. Speak English. Speak English for a woman. For a woman. The correct answer is, does she speak English? Not do she, we say does. We normally say does with he and she. So the correct answer is, does she speak English? Introducing ourselves in English. This is a very important skill to have, because it's very likely that you might be asked to introduce yourself in many different situations. For example, some might be more formal, like at work or if you're public speaking. And then some situations might be less formal, like if you meet someone at a party. So today, we talk about some informal ways and some formal ways to introduce yourself in English. The first thing we normally say when we meet someone is hello, right? So some informal ways to say hello could be hi or hey. Hi or hey. And then after you've said hi or hey, you can either say, how are you? Hi, how are you? Hey, how are you? Or you could say, what's up? Hi, what's up? Hey, what's up? These phrases are normally used when you're talking to just one person. If you're talking to many people, you can just say everybody after hi or after hey. For example, hi everybody, how are you? Hey everybody, what's up? Now, if you want to say hello formally, normally we have three choices. You can say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Good morning we use before 12 p.m., before noon. Good afternoon we use between 12 p.m. and about 4 or 5 p.m. And after 5 p.m., we normally use good evening. So make sure when you're using these phrases, you look at the time first. And you don't say good morning when it's evening, or you don't say good evening when it's in the morning. And if you want to use these phrases with a big group of people, you can just add everybody at the end. For example, good morning everybody, good afternoon everybody, or good evening everybody. Now we have said hello to whoever we're talking to. Now we need to say our name. So a formal way to say your name is, my name is. My name is. So for me, I would say, my name is Shane. A less formal way we can use is just, I'm. And then you say your name. So for me, I would say, I'm Shane. I'm Shane. Some other different ways to say your name are, you can call me, and then you say your name. So for me, I would say, you can call me Shane. You could say, my friends call me, and then you say your name. So for me, I would say, my friends call me Shane. And I know that in some cultures, people have nicknames. So you could also say, my nickname is. My nickname is. I don't have a nickname, so let's just pretend my nickname is Shane. I could say, my nickname is Shane. You've said hello, you've said your name. Now it's time to say where you are from. I know you know how to say, I'm from. So let's look at some more interesting phrases we can use. The most common phrases here are not really formal and they're not really informal. They're just normal phrases. The first one you could use is, I grew up in. And then you say the country. Grew up means where you were born, where you became a child, and then where you became an adult. So for me, I would say, I grew up in Australia. I grew up in Australia. That means I was born here, I was a child here, and then I became an adult here. The second phrase you could use if you were born in one country and then moved to another country. You could say, I was born in, and then I moved to, for. So for me, I could say, I was born in Australia, and then I moved to America for work. So this means I was born in Australia, I probably grew up in Australia, and then I moved to another country for work. Please note that this step is optional. There are some situations where you would not say where you're from. For example, I am Australian. So if I met another person who is Australian and we were talking, I probably wouldn't say where I'm from because the Australian person would already know where I'm from. So if I said I'm from Australia, it would sound a little bit weird because they already know I'm from Australia. We've said hello, we've said our name, and we've said where we are from. So now it's time to talk about work. And when we talk about work, you can use basic phrases like I'm a. For me, I'm a teacher. Or you could say something like I work in a. So for me, I work in a school. These phrases are okay, but for me, a more interesting way to talk about your job is to say how long you've been doing it for and what you've been doing. So for me, I could say, for the past 6 years, I've been helping students improve their English. This is a much more interesting way of saying I'm a teacher, right? A more formal phrase you could use to talk about your job is I work in the industry. I work in the industry. So for me, I work in the education industry. I work in the education industry. Maybe you are an engineer, so you could say I work in the engineering industry. I work in the engineering industry. Another more formal phrase you could use is my job involves. My job involves. So for me, I could say my job involves teaching English to students whose first language isn't English. Or maybe you are an engineer. You could say my job involves designing buildings or making plans for bridges or whatever you're designing. Now you've said hello, your name, where you're from, and your job, it's time to start saying something a little bit more interesting that could maybe start a conversation with the other person. And I think an interesting thing to say is what your goals are for the future, what you want to do in the future. The following phrases aren't really informal or formal, they're just normal phrases. So a phrase you could use is I would like to. I would like to. So for example, you could say, I would like to be a millionaire in the future. Or you could say, I would like to be a professional athlete in the future. Another phrase you could use is my goal for the future is. Goal for the future means what do you want to accomplish? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to do in the future? So you could say something like, my goal for the future is to be a millionaire. Or my goal for the future is to help everyone on this planet learn English. Now we are almost done. We've got one last thing to say. I believe that the last thing you should say is something interesting about yourself that could also maybe start a conversation with the person or people that you are talking to. And the following phrases aren't really formal or informal, they're just normal phrases. The first thing you could say is, something you probably wouldn't guess about me is, something you probably wouldn't guess about me is, and then you say something interesting about yourself. Something you probably wouldn't guess means, if the other person looks at you, what wouldn't they think about you? What wouldn't they know about you? What wouldn't they expect about you? I'll give you an example. Something you wouldn't guess about me is that I like heavy metal music. Music with fast drumming, fast guitars, and heavy vocals. So if you look at me, you probably wouldn't know that I like heavy metal music, right? Another way you could say that is, would you believe me if I told you that? Would you believe me if I told you that? And then you say something interesting about yourself. So for me, I could say, would you believe me if I told you that I lived overseas for 2 years and taught English to people whose first language wasn't English? Would you believe me? Hey everyone, what's up? I'm Shane and I grew up in Australia, But when I was about 25, I went overseas for work, and I just recently got back to Australia. For the past 6 years, I've been helping students learn English who want to travel overseas and use English for work. In the future, I want to be a millionaire so I can help people who aren't as well off as me. And something you probably wouldn't guess about me is that I love heavy metal music. So if you listen to that example, you would have heard that I use a lot of connected speech, I talk quite quickly, and I use some contractions like what's or I'm. Good morning, everyone. My name is Shane, and I grew up in Australia. At the moment, I'm working in the education industry. And in the future, I would like to be a millionaire. And something that you probably wouldn't know about me is that I used to live overseas teaching English to adults. So if you listen to that formal example, you would have heard that I speak quite slowly. I try not to use much connected speech, and I use more formal language. For example, I said would and not want, and I said I'm working in the education industry. I didn't just say I'm a teacher. When you're speaking English, do you sometimes feel like it's hard to say words and phrases, like your mouth isn't working properly? Well, this is a very common problem that many English learners have, and it's normally caused by students not understanding how to use connected speech. Many students learning English love to say every single sound, but this is not how native speakers speak. Native speakers like to speak quickly, and to do that, they often change sounds, add sounds, and sometimes even remove sounds. So in today's video, you are going to learn how to pronounce 5 common phrases like a native speaker. Are you ready? Let's go. The first phrase for today is I would like to. I would like to. This is a phrase that we use when we want to request something. It's a formal phrase and not normally used between friends. When a native speaker says it really quickly, it sounds like this. I'd like to. I'd like to. I'd like to. We don't say I would. We join them together and we say I'd. I'd. Now, note here how we do not say I'd. I'd. We stop the air from coming out and we say I'd. I'd. And we don't say to, we say to. 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 So the whole phrase sounds like this. I'd like to. I'd like to. I'd like to. And an example sentence could be, I'd like to make an appointment for next Friday, please. So which do you think is easier to say? I would like to or I'd like to? The second one, right? So now you try. I'd like to. I'd like to. The second phrase is, how is it going? How is it going? This is a phrase that we can use to start a conversation. It's a bit of a funny phrase because how is what going? What does it mean, right? But this phrase just means, how are you? And when a native speaker says it really quickly, it normally sounds like this. How's it going? How's it going? How's it going? We don't say how is. We join them together and we say how's. How's. And that last sound should be like a z sound. Your throat should vibrate. How's. And then we don't say how's it. We join them together as well and we say how's it. How's it. How's it. And with that final T sound, we stop the air again. We say how's it. We don't say how's it. Nope. How's it. And a lot of the time, native speakers don't say going with that ing sound. They get rid of the G and they just say goin', goin'. So when the native speaker says the whole phrase, it sounds like this. How's it going? How's it going? How's it going? So which one do you think is easier? How is it going? Or how's it going? The second one, right? Now you try. How's it going? The third phrase is, what do you think? What do you think? This is a very common phrase that we use to ask someone's opinion about something. And when a native speaker says it really quickly, it sounds like this. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? We don't say what do you, we join those three words together and we say what do ya? What do ya? What do ya? And this is the same with most phrases that start with what do you. You can pronounce it like this. What do ya? What do ya? For example, what do you do? What do you eat? What do you like? So what do you think is easier? What do you think or what do you think? The second one, right? So now you try. What do you think? What do you think? The fourth phrase is, could you repeat that please? Could you repeat that please? This is a very polite way to ask someone, what did you say? It's a formal phrase and it's not normally used between friends. And when a native speaker says this really quickly, it sounds like this. Could you repeat that please? Could ya repeat that please? Could you repeat that please? We don't say could you. We join those together and we say could ya? Could ya? Could ya? And we don't say repeat. No, we stop the air with that final T sound. We say repeat. Repeat. And this is the same with the next word, that. We don't say that. We stop the air from coming out and we say that. That. So when you put that all together, it sounds like this. Could you repeat that, please? Could you repeat that, please? Could ya repeat that, please? So which do you think is easier? Could you repeat that, please? Or could you repeat that, please? The second one, right? So now you try. Could you repeat that, please? The fifth and final phrase is, do you want to? Do you want to? This is a very informal way to invite someone to do something. For example, do you want to go to the beach today? When a native speaker says this really quickly, it sounds like this. Do you wanna? Do you wanna? Do you wanna? We don't say do you. We put those together and we just say one sound, j. 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 And we don't say want to. We also join them together and we say wanna. 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 So the whole phrase sounds like this. Do you wanna? Do you wanna? Do you wanna? Which do you think is easier? Do you want to or do you wanna? The second one, right? Now you try. Do you wanna? Do you wanna? Could you give us a few minutes, please? Huh? How can you give time to someone? Let's find out. So today, I take you on a little journey. We go into a restaurant together, we order food, we have a problem, and then we pay and leave the restaurant. And I tell you what phrases you can use at every step of the way. The first thing we have to do is go into the restaurant, right? And when we go into a restaurant, there will normally be a person waiting to greet you, or you'll have to go to the counter. And you'll normally be in one of two situations. Number 1, you will have a booking or reservation, and number 2, you won't have a booking or reservation. A booking or reservation means when you have an arrangement with the restaurant, a plan with the restaurant, where the restaurant will keep a table free for you. So if you don't have a reservation and you go into the restaurant and you see that there are many tables free, you can say, just a table for 2, please, if it's just you and your friend. Or if you go with your mum and dad, you can say, just a table for 3, please. And when we say this really quickly, it sounds like this. Just a table for 2, please. Now you try. Just a table for 2, please. Now let's pretend the waiter, he walks you to your table, but it's in the center of the restaurant and you don't really want to sit in the center. You want to sit near the window. You can say, could we sit over there, please? Could we sit over there, please? This means, can we sit at a different table, please? Is this okay? Now, let's pretend you go into the restaurant and it's really busy and you can't really see any tables free. You can say, do you have a table for 2 free if it's just you and your friend? Or do you have a table for 3, please, if it's your mum and dad? This means, are there any tables free or do we have to wait? And when we say this really quickly, it sounds like this. Do you have a table for 2 free? Do you have a table for 2 free? We don't say do you, we don't say have a, we say ja have a. Ja have a. Do you have a table for 2 free? Now you try. Do you have a table for 2 free? Now let's pretend you go into the restaurant and you do have a reservation, you do have a booking. You can say, hi, I have a reservation for at... So for me, I would say, I have a reservation for Shane at 8 p.m. I have a reservation for Shane at 8 p.m. And then the waiter will probably look at the reservation book and then he will probably take you to your table. So let's look at those phrases again. Just a table for 2, please. Could we sit over there, please? Do you have a table for 2 free? And I have a reservation for Shane at 8 p.m. Okay, now let's pretend you get to your table and you're really hungry, but there's no menu. What could you say to the waiter? You could say, could we get a menu, please? Could we get a menu, please? And when we say it really fast, it sounds like this. Could we get a menu, please? Could we get a menu, please? Now you try. Could we get a menu, please? Now let's pretend you're looking at the menu. You're looking at all the different dishes and all the different foods and drinks. And the waiter comes back to you and he says, can I take your order, please? But you're not ready to order. What can you say to him? You can say, could you give us a few minutes, please? Could you give us a few minutes, please? This means we are still not ready. Come back in 2 or 3 minutes and then we will be ready. And when a native speaker says this really quickly, it sounds like this. Could you give us a few minutes, please? Could you give us a few minutes, please? We say, could ya give us a few minutes, please? Now you try. Could you give us a few minutes, please? Now let's pretend you've looked at the menu and you are ready to order. And you want to order the lasagna. What can you say? You could say, could I have the lasagna, please? Could I have the lasagna, please? This means, I would like to order the lasagna, please. And when a native speaker says this really quickly, it sounds like this. Could I have the lasagna, please? Now you try. Could I have the lasagna, please? Now, let's pretend you are allergic to nuts. Allergic means if you eat something, it might make you feel sick or it might make you have problems with your body. Many people are allergic to nuts If they eat nuts, it makes their body not very happy, not feel good. So let's pretend you want to order the lasagna, but you're not sure if it has nuts in it. What can you say? You can say, does the lasagna have nuts in it? Does the lasagna have nuts in it? And then the waiter will say yes or no. Or another phrase you could use is this dish okay for people who are allergic to nuts? Is this dish okay for people who are allergic to nuts? Or let's pretend you're a vegan or a vegetarian. You could say, is this dish okay for vegans or for vegetarians? So those phrases again are, excuse me, could we get a menu, please? Could you give us a few minutes? Could I get the lasagna, please? Does the lasagna have nuts in it? And is this dish okay for vegans or vegetarians? Okay, now let's pretend you have ordered your food and your food arrives, but it's not what you ordered. You ordered a lasagna, but you got fried rice. What can you say to the waiter? You can say, excuse me, I didn't order this. Excuse me, I didn't order this. And when native speakers say this really quickly, we say, excuse me, I didn't order this. Now you try. Excuse me, I didn't order this. Now let's pretend your lasagna comes out, but there's no fork, there's no knife, there's no spoon. So how can you eat your food? You can say to the waiter, excuse me, could I get some cutlery, please? Excuse me, could I get some cutlery, please? Cutlery means a fork, a knife, and a spoon. Now let's pretend you ordered your food 45 minutes ago, but it still hasn't come yet. And you want to ask the waiter, where is it? What can you say? You can say, excuse me, I ordered the lasagna 45 minutes ago, but it still hasn't come. I ordered the lasagna about 45 minutes ago, but it still hasn't come. This is a really polite way to say, where's my food? So let's look at those phrases again. Excuse me, I didn't order this. Excuse me, could I have some cutlery, please? And excuse me, I ordered the lasagna 45 minutes ago and it still hasn't come yet. Okay, let's pretend you finished your food. It was really delicious and now you're really full and want to pay the bill. What can you say to the waiter? You can say, excuse me, could we get the check, please? Excuse me, could we get the check, please? And then the waiter will go to the counter and bring you the bill. Let's pretend he brings you the bill and it's wrong. You ordered the lasagna, but he's got a fried rice and a lasagna on there. What can you say to him? You can say, excuse me, could you check the bill again? I didn't order the fried rice. Excuse me, could you check the bill again? I didn't order the fried rice. This is a polite way to say the bill is wrong. And let's pretend your bill is $95 and you give the waiter $100, but you don't want the change. You don't want the $5 change. What can you say to the waiter? You can say, you can keep the change. You can keep the change. This means you don't have to give me the change. It's yours. I am giving it to you. And then finally, you get up and you are leaving the restaurant and you see the waiter who was serving you, who was helping you all night. What can you say to him? You can say, thanks, see you next time. Thanks, see you next time. And when a native speaker says this really quickly, he'll say, see ya next time. See ya next time. Now you try. See ya next time. And those phrases again are, could we get the check or bill, please? Excuse me, could you check the bill again? I didn't order the keep the change for when you want to give a tip. And thanks, see ya next time. Can we use the present simple tense to talk about the future? Let's find out. Let's have a look at an example of a present simple sentence. I live in Australia. What's the structure? How do we make it? We have I, the subject, live, the verb, and Australia, the object. And you can see here that with the verb live, it's a present tense verb. For example, live, eat, walk, drink. We don't use ing verbs and we don't use past tense verbs with the present simple. And you can see here with the verb, there is no S. We don't need an S with the verb for the following subjects. I live. They live. We live. Or when we are talking about two or more nouns or plural nouns. For example, John and Paul. This is two people, so we say John and Paul live in Australia. People is two or more, so we say people live in Australia. We don't need an S with the verb. So for these pronouns and nouns, we don't need an S. But we need an S for these pronouns and nouns. He lives. She lives. It lives. Or for singular nouns or for one thing. John lives. John is one person, so we need that S. John lives. The person lives. The person is one, so we need to have that S. The person lives. So just remember, after singular nouns, we need to have an S on the verb. This is very important and it will help you sound like a native speaker. What about negatives? I live in Australia, but what if we want to say no, not live in Australia? We can say I don't live in Australia. When we have the following, we use don't to make a negative. I don't. They don't. We don't. And with two or more nouns or with plural nouns. John and Paul don't. The people don't, because people is two or more people. What about singular subjects? How can we make a negative? We can say he doesn't. She doesn't. It doesn't. John is one person. John doesn't. The person, one person. The person doesn't. So just remember, with singular nouns, we say doesn't. And with plural nouns and I, we say don't. What about if we want to make a question? I live in Australia. What's the question? We can say, do you live in Australia? Do you live in Australia? We use do with the following subjects. Do they live in Australia? Do we live in Australia? And with plural nouns or two or more nouns. John and Paul. Do John and Paul live in Australia? The people. Do the people live in Australia? If you find this hard to remember, you can think about the negative. I don't live in Australia. I do not live in Australia. So when we make the question, we use do because the negative is do. I do not live in Australia. So the question is, do you live in Australia? What about singular subjects like he, she, it? What was the negative? Do you remember? He doesn't live in Australia. He does not live in Australia. So the question is, does he live in Australia? Does he live in Australia? Does she live in Australia? Does it live in Australia? And for singular nouns, we also use does. Does John live in Australia? The person, does the person live in Australia? So just remember, if you're not sure what the question is, just think about the negative. He does not live in Australia. So the question is, does he live in Australia? They do not live in Australia. So the question is, do they live in Australia? The present simple tense has 5 main uses. So let's have a look at the first use. I go to the gym every week. Did I do this in the past? Yes. Will I do it in the future? Yes. Do I do it often? Is it something that I do all the time? Yes, it is. So this is the first use of the present simple tense. We use it to talk about habits, routines, things that you do all the time. Some further examples are, he plays sport. This means he does it all the time. He did it in the past. He will do it in the future, and he does it very often. It's his habit. It's a routine. And note how we used S with the verb. He plays sport. He plays sport. Let's look at the second use for the present simple tense. I live in Australia. When did this start? In the past. Is it still happening now? Yes, it is. This is a permanent situation. It started in the past and it still hasn't changed. And it's probably not going to change for a long time into the future. And it's different to the first use of the present simple, because the first use, we talked about something you do many times. For example, I go to the gym. So I go, I come back. I go, I come back. I do it many, many times. By this example, I live in Australia. It's not something you do many times. It started in the past and it has stayed the same. Nothing has changed. It's not something that you start doing, stop doing, start doing, stop doing. Okay, let's look at another example. He works in London. He works in London. And also note, we use the S here. He works in London. This situation is unchanging. It's permanent. He started working in London in the past, and he's still working in London now. It's probably not going to change, and it's probably going to be permanent. And the third main use for the present simple is to talk about truths, things that are true, things that are facts. For example, Sydney is a big city. Sydney is a big city. This is a fact. This is true. And another example, California is in America. California is in America. This is a fact. We cannot change it. We cannot pick up California and move it to another state. And let's look at the fourth use of the present simple. Go straight, then turn left, then go straight for 200 meters. What am I doing? I am giving instructions. I am giving orders. So with the present simple, we can also use it for instructions and for orders. First, you crack the eggs, then you put the eggs in the bowl, and then after that, you whisk them. This is another example of how we can use the present simple. We can use it to give cooking instructions. So whenever you read instructions in a book or on a website, they will normally be in the present simple. And just remember, when you're giving instructions, use the present tense verb. Don't use ing, don't use a past tense verb. You should use the present tense verb. And the last use is where present simple gets really interesting. Have a look at this sentence. Our train leaves tomorrow at 11 a.m. What tense am I using? I'm using the present simple tense, right? But what am I talking about? The past, the present, or the future? The future. And one more, but this time a question. What time do you finish work tomorrow? Once again, present simple tense, but talking about the future because I've used the word tomorrow. It's actually very common to use the present simple to talk about the future. For example, what time does the movie start? It starts at 9 p.m. What time do you leave tomorrow? I leave at 11 a.m. Just remember, the present simple tense is not just used to talk about facts and habits and routines. It can be also used to talk about the future. We have learned about the present simple, so now let's have a quick quiz to test your understanding. I will show you some words and I want you to make a present simple tense. Number 1, he go work every day. He go work every day. The correct answer should be he goes to work every day. Remember, when we have he, we have to have an S on the end of the verb. Number 2, time your train leave. Time your train leave. A question. The correct answer is, what time does your train leave? What time does your train leave? Remember, with singular nouns, we normally use does for the question. Does he? Does he? Does the train? Number 3, I not think, you right. I not think, you right. The correct answer is, I don't think you're right. I don't think you're right. Remember, with negatives and I, we say do not. I don't think, I don't live, I don't eat. Question 4, you watch TV a lot. Question, you watch TV a lot. Question. The correct answer is, do you watch TV a lot? Do you? Remember, with you and a question, we say do you? Do you? Question 5. He speak English? Question mark. He speak English? Question mark. The correct answer is, does he speak English? Does he speak English? Remember, with the question and he, we say does. Does he? Does she? Does it? And the last question, he leave tomorrow, 11 a.m. He leave tomorrow, 11 a.m. The correct answer is, he leaves tomorrow at 11 a.m. Remember, we need to have an S with the verb because the subject is singular. He leaves. And also remember that the present simple can be used to talk about the future. I went to the beach last weekend. What does this mean? How many times did it happen? Is it finished? Is the time when it happened important? Let's find out. I went to the beach last weekend. This is a past simple sentence. How do we make it? What is the structure? We have I, the subject, then we have a past tense verb, and then we have the object. This is very important here. When we're using past simple, we must have a past tense verb. Some common examples of past tense verbs are go, went, come, came, walk, walked, eat, ate, have, had, do, did, give, gave, see, saw, talk, talked, and for to be, we say was or were. Okay, now we know some past tense verbs, but what about if we are using he, she, it, I, they? Which verb do we use? We can say I went, he went, she went, they went, John went, John and Paul went. So when we're using a past simple verb that's not the verb to be, we don't have to change anything. We can say I went, they went, John and Paul went. It doesn't matter if the subject is singular or plural. But if we have a past simple sentence with the verb to be, we need to say was or were. For example, I was, he was, she was, it was, and John was. So you can see here, all of these subjects are singular. We are only talking about one thing. But with were, we say we were, they were, the dogs were, that's more than one dog, or we could say John and Paul were. So when we use were, we use it with plural subjects, subjects that have two or more things. Now, let's talk about negatives. I went to the beach last weekend. How can we say no? No go to the beach. We can say I did not go to the beach last weekend. So you can see here, when we make a negative, we have to say did not plus a present tense verb. We don't say did not and then a past tense verb. No. We must say did not and then a present tense verb. Did not go, did not eat, did not walk. And it's the same for all subjects. I did not go, he did not go, they did not go, we did not go. Okay, what about negatives with the verb to be? For example, I was happy becomes I was not happy. So when we have was, we just add not after the was. I was not, he was not, she was not, it was not. What about were? For example, they were happy. The negative is they were not happy. They were not happy. So we just add not after were. They were not happy. We were not happy. The dogs were not happy. John and Paul were not happy. I went to the beach last weekend. How can we change this into a question? We can say, did you go to the beach last weekend? Did you go to the beach last weekend? So just remember, when we make a question, we say did you and then go. So we use the present tense verb, did plus the present tense verb. And this is the same with all subjects. So we can say, did he go to the beach? Did it go to the beach? Did they go to the beach? Did we go to the beach? What about with the verb to be? For example, he was happy. The question is, was he happy? Was he happy? Was she happy? Was it happy? Was John happy? What about with they, we, and plural nouns? We were happy. The question is, were we happy? Were we happy? Were they happy? Were the dogs happy? Were John and Paul happy? And if you're not sure if you need to use was or were, think about the positive or the negative. For example, he was happy, he was. The question is, was he happy? If we say they were not happy, they were not happy, then the question is, were they happy? The past simple has a few main uses. So let's look at one of the most important uses first. I went to the beach last weekend. I went to the beach last weekend. What are we talking about here? Past, present, or future? The past. Is this action finished? Yes, it is. And how many times am I talking about? Just one. And what's important here? That the action is finished or that the action went on for a period of time? What's important here is that the action is finished. So that's the first use of the present simple. We use it to talk about one action that has finished in the past. We want to say the action is finished. How long it happened for is not important. So this is the main use of the past simple. And normally, not always, but normally, if you see a past simple sentence, it's normally talking about something that happened once in the past, which is finished. And you can see here at the end of the sentence, we have two words. We have last weekend. These are called time words. They tell us when the action took place, when the action happened. Do you have to use time words with past simple? Normally, yes. But if you're talking to someone and the person knows what time you're talking about, then normally you don't have to use a time word. And we can also use past simple with nouns and adjectives. But when we do this, we need to use the past form of the verb to be, which is was or were. When I was a child, I walked to school every day. When I was a child, I walked to school every day. What are we talking about here? Past, present, or future? Past. Is it finished? Yes. How many times are we talking about here? One or more than one? More than one. This probably happened many, many times. Some other examples could be, when I went on holiday, I swam in the ocean many times. Or they always enjoyed going to the park. I lived overseas for 10 years. I lived overseas for 10 years. What are we talking about here? Past, present, or future? We are talking about the past. Is it finished? Yes, it is. How many times am I talking about? Just one time. But it was a very long time, right? It was 10 years. So this is the third use of the past simple. We can use it to talk about something that was true in the past for a long time. Some other examples could be, I enjoyed being a student. I enjoyed being a student. I was a student for a long time, right? For many, many years. I finished work, drove home, and then had my dinner. I finished work, drove home, and then had my dinner. What am I talking about here? Past, present, or future? The past. Are these things finished? Yes. How many things am I talking about? 1, 2, or 3? 3. I'm talking about 3 things. But these things happened in a sequence, right? They were steps. First, I finished work. Second, I drove home. And then third, I had my dinner. So this is the fourth use of the past simple. We use it to talk about a series of completed actions, a sequence of completed actions. First, second, third, fourth. So these are the 4 main uses of the past simple. So just remember, normally when we use the past simple, we're talking about something that's finished and we're not interested in how long it went on for. We're just interested in that it is finished. It's happened in the past and it's finished. Okay, so we have learned the basics of the past simple tense. Now let's have a quiz to test your understanding. I will show you some words and I want you to make a past simple sentence. Number 1. I go bank last week. I go bank last week. And the correct answer is I went to the bank last week. I went to the bank last week. Remember, with past simple, we need to have a past tense verb. Number 2, he happy yesterday. He happy yesterday. And the correct answer is he was happy yesterday. He was happy yesterday. Because remember, when we're talking about nouns or an adjective, we need to use was or were. And he is a singular subject, so we use was. He was. Number 3, he happy yesterday? Question. He happy yesterday? Question. And the correct answer is was he happy yesterday? Was he happy yesterday? Remember, when we make a question with was or were, we put was or were first. Was he happy yesterday? Number 4, he eat pizza yesterday? Question. He eat pizza yesterday? Question. And the correct answer is did he eat pizza yesterday? Did he eat pizza yesterday? Because remember, when we ask a question and when we have did, we use a present tense verb afterwards. Did he eat? Did he drink? We don't say did he ate or did he drank. No. Number 5, they not happy yesterday. They not happy yesterday. And the correct answer is they were not happy yesterday. Remember, when we have they, a plural subject, and we're talking about, or we're using an adjective, then we need to use were. They were not happy yesterday. Okay, I will show you a sentence and I will tell you to change it to the question, to the positive, or to the negative. Number 1, did he run yesterday? Did he run yesterday? Change that to the positive. And the answer is he ran yesterday. He ran yesterday. Now, change that to the negative. And the correct answer is he did not run yesterday. He did not run yesterday. Okay, number 2. He was not excited. He was not excited. Change that to a positive. And the correct answer is he was excited. He was excited. Now, change that to a question. And the correct answer is was he excited? Was he excited? Okay, last one, number 3. They were teachers. They were teachers. Change that to a negative. And the correct answer is they were not teachers. They were not teachers. Now, change that to a question. And the correct answer is were they teachers? Were they teachers? Let's talk about what a phrasal verb is. A phrasal verb normally has 2 parts. The first part is a verb. A verb is a doing word, an action. And the second part is a preposition. A preposition shows the relationship between two things. Phrasal verbs are just like normal verbs. You can change their tense. For example, pick up. This is a phrasal verb which can mean to lift something up. He picked up the pen, past. He is picking up the pen, present. He will pick up the pen, future. Easy, right? Okay, let's look at the first phrasal verb for today. Number 1, ask around. This means to ask many people the same question to get help. For example, I lost my dog, so I'm asking around to see if anyone has seen him. Number 2, back somebody up. This means to support or to help someone. An example sentence could be, I had a problem with my boss, but my colleague backed me up. Number 3, break down. This means to stop working, and this phrasal verb is normally used with machines. For example, my car broke down last night, so I have to get it fixed. Number 4, break in. This means to enter a place without permission, normally by breaking a window or a door. An example, somebody broke into his house last night and stole his laptop. Number 5, break up. This means to end a relationship. An example sentence, John and Mary broke up last weekend. Number 6, ring somebody up. This means to use the phone to talk to someone. An example, I couldn't ring him up last night because I had no signal. Number 7, catch up. This means to meet someone. An example sentence could be, do you want to catch up for a coffee tomorrow? Number 8, check in. This means to report your arrival somewhere, normally at a hotel or an airport. An example sentence, the check-in counter is over there. Number 9, check out. This means to report your departure somewhere, normally at a hotel. An example sentence could be, what time do you have to check out? Number 10, drop out. This means to stop doing something before it's finished. This phrasal verb is normally used with university and school. An example sentence could be, you shouldn't drop out of school. Number 11, eat out. This means to eat at a restaurant and not eat at home. An example sentence, I don't want to cook tonight, let's eat out. Number 12, fall apart. This means to break something into smaller pieces. An example, these shoes are really old, they are falling apart. Number 13, get along. This means when two people like each other. An example sentence, they are really good friends, they get along really well. Number 14, get around. This means to travel to many places. An example sentence could be, he's so lucky, he's always getting around to new places. Number 15, get together. This means to meet. An example sentence could be, let's get together tomorrow after work and go to the gym. Number 16, give something back. This means to return. An example sentence could be, give his book back. Number 17, go out. This means to leave the house and go somewhere. An example sentence could be, I want to go out tonight. Number 18, go without. This means to not have something. An example sentence could be, he's going without new shoes so he can save money. Number 19, hand something down. This means to give something to someone who is younger than you because you don't need it anymore. An example sentence could be, I handed my clothes down to my younger brother because they don't fit me anymore. Number 20, let someone in. This means to allow someone to enter. An example sentence could be, he's waiting at the door, let him in. Number 21, look down on someone. This means to think you are better or superior than someone else. An example sentence could be, he's always looking down on people who aren't as rich as he is. Number 22, make up. This means to be friendly with someone after an argument or a problem. An example sentence could be, they are always fighting, but in the end, they always make up. Number 23, pass out. This means to become unconscious, normally when you are drunk or sick. An example sentence could be, after he drank the bottle of vodka, he passed out. Number 24, pass something up. This means to not accept something. An example sentence could be, he passed the job offer up because the pay wasn't high enough. And last one, number 25, put somebody down. This means to make somebody not feel good. An example sentence could be, he's always putting his staff members down when he's in a bad mood.